First of all, thank you for the organizers and for the audience here for this opportunity and being here. And I am Rifat. I work as a data scientist with the UNHCR, and I am based on amid the conflict in the Middle East, Jordan. So I feel like I'm extending what has been discussed our previous panel because they were talking about the conflict and the displacement crisis that was happening, and that's what we are extending here. When our panel member was explaining that what his experience was in a conflict situation, in a displacement, in an emergency, that is the same question that we as an institution, we as a team always face. These are the first questions that comes to us that to be answered in any emergency, in any conflict flares up. So first question that we ask ourselves is that where is the people moving? What is the situation in the ground? Which border status is like open? Which one is tightened? Which one is closed? Now, these are the questions that we were trying to answer recently with the Iran context. And that's where we came up with a solution, a tool, a signal pipeline that particularly looks into the conflict and tries to anticipate the displacement movement signals. Now, to be precise, we know that in a conflict and an emergency, the decision window is very narrow. The border changes, it tightens, it closed, it opens, and this changes within hours, not days. And most importantly, whenever we are waiting for the counts from the field, we are waiting for the forecasting or predictive models to come up with the result, this takes time. And most of the time, these are very forward-looking. These are not looking at what is happening on the ground and when the decision to be made. And that is where eRADAR works. It reads the present and tries to understand that where people are moving and how they are moving, which route they are taking, and try to anticipate that. To be exact how the eRADAR works is that it mainly brings in different open source signals with the satellite data, remote sensing together, and layer them together to understand whether those signals agrees together or not. Independently, each of those signals doesn't mean much. They cannot explain, they cannot give you the context. But when you layer them together, they becomes a context. They tell you where to look and why to look. So that's what we were doing. We were looking at the social media, local, international news articles, WhatsApp, Telegram channels to understand that what are the hotspots, what are the people we're talking, and trying to bring them together and combined with remote sensing like mobile network activity, internet disruptions, traffic road signals, all of those together to understand that how things are changing on the ground. Now, once those hotspots are given, we have the context instead of completely sensing the whole country itself, and we verify with the accurate data where we understand that a conflict or an event has been happened, and we anchor our signals on top of that event. Once we have an anchor event, we try to see the satellite data, starting with the thermal signal. We try to see that where there is anomaly, where those signals are corroborating with each other, along with the mobile network activity, along with the other signals that are bringing together. We also look into the nightlight changes, whether those origin areas, conflict areas, and the surrounding areas, that nightlight changing or not. Further, we also look into the traffic signals. We also noted the previous route signals and whether there is a proximity of the conflict, what is the security risk situation, and what are the events happening around those roads to kind of like anticipate which corridors most likely to be used by the people. This is a simple event that can go into different direction and how the pipeline looks into it. Let's consider one of the events that happened, a conflict happened, we get it from our open source signals. And once we have the anchor event from the ACLED, we try to look into the surrounding areas, whether there is anomalies or not. And those anomalies comes from the heat signal, changes in the internet activity, changes in the mobile network activities, and also whether point of interest, buildings, anything damaged or not. As the signals comes in, we try to understand that in a rolling window that how those people or signals are moving toward. We try to understand the trajectory of those signals, which direction they're going, trying to cluster them, and try to understand that from which area to which area people are moving. And we continue to monitor them so that understand that which border is likely to be accessed and which border to be used to cross the border. Even within the internally, within the country, if there is a signal that tells us that people are moving from this particular location to this particular location, the activity has been reduced here, but increased here, that gives us the signal that from where to where people were moving. And all of this in different signal and different frequency updated for 24 hours. This is kind of like a situation awareness that how the signals changes over the time. When we first detect from the open sources, it becomes just a detection. But over the time, the satellite data, the network data, those are changes. The dots that you are looking at here, these are not just dots, these are connecting different routes across the border and how people are moving around them. When you click on those dots, it gives you the trajectory from where to where those signals are connected. And particularly, as you can see, we also try to understand that from which district or country of origin location to crossing the borders, or within the country, from which district to which district people are trying to move. And here, you can also try to see that we have been trying to understand what type of population group it is, whether it's the host community, whether it's IDP, whether it's the refugees, and we try to bring all those information together into our situation monitoring tool that combines all those different open sources into one place, and try to understand that what is happening on the ground and what are the actors are playing in the ground, and all of those information comes together into our situation detail report. And every day, morning, our field teams, our operations, and including our partners, they receive this detailed report to act upon. They can understand that which border is under pressure, from where to where people are moving, what could be the possible signals that they should be acting on, depending on the different confidence tiers. One thing our tool provides is that it does not give you exact numbers or exact details. What it gives you a confidence tier, that this is the location most likely people are concentrating. These are the location from where people are departing. Or this is the border most likely under pressure. So this all depends on the different signals agreeing with each other. This is not a probability. We are saying that the more signals agrees with each other, providing the same signal, they gives the higher confidence level to act upon. And particularly, there are limitations because the tool is still on the prototype stage. We are now trying to deploy it for the Lebanon. First of all, we don't provide the statistics because we don't count people. We try to detect the signal, the trajectory of the movement. Second, it doesn't look into the long-term horizon. It looks at the 5 days. 3 to 5 days, 7 days, that is the present window that we look into. And it is not a continuous track. So if there is a secondary displacement, we cannot see this. And also, sometimes we cannot detect the return because for the system, it considers it as a new movement happening toward the origin location. For us, as an institution, we have different predictive models, different forecasting models, depending on agent-based model, event-based model, simulation models. So we kind of like understand that this particular tool only meant for emergencies. Where the conflict has started, we have to make decision now. So on that moment, we are trying to establish the tool, that how it works and how it can help in the emergency situation. So for us in Iran context, we have seen that the signal corroborated very well. It could predict the signals of borders and also the internal displacement at least 3 to 5 days ahead. But that could be a fluke, that could be a coincidence. So we are trying to understand that whether it can be replicated in the Lebanon and any other context. And the main purpose for me being here is to see that opportunity from among you, that whether you would like to understand or try to play with the tool so that you can also utilize it and also help us to improve the tool. Thank you, everyone.